Okay, so tonight we are asking one literally terrifying question. Like, what happens when the architects of a supposedly perfect, meticulously controlled society just start secretly breaking their own rules?
Right. It all falls apart.
Exactly. We are completely unpacking the ultimate dystopian breakdown in this show, like focusing entirely on the absolute chaos, the psychological warfare, and the pastel-colored nightmares of episode 4, Green Tea. But before we get into the systemic rot of that whole universe...
Yes, before we spiral entirely.
Right. It's Wednesday, and regardless of the day, Snark Squad babes, we fucking love you.
We really, truly do. And honestly, it's basically Thursday evening, which is officially like one of our favorite times of the entire week. Mostly because it means it's almost time to spiral.
Oh my God, I am vibrating, like physically vibrating with the need to just let it all out. I've been holding in so much anxiety, so much secondhand trauma, and so many aggressively opinionated thoughts since watching this drop. My chest actually hurts.
I can literally see you stressing out.
I am. But before we lay it all on the table and absolutely lose our minds together, we need to take a mandatory pause. Look at what is in our hands right now.
The Holy Grail. Strawberry vanilla margaritas from the keg.
Babes, I'm not being dramatic when I say these are literal heaven.
Smooth, sweet, and low-key, very dangerous.
So dangerous. These are officially our drink of the summer. Like, the immediate mood shift I just experienced from that first sip, my shoulders physically dropped, the delusion has officially set in.
Oh, we love a delusional evening.
And we really do. Keg babes, listen to me. If you want to sponsor this show, we are ready. We will eat steak, we will eat Billy Miner pie, and we will drink these margaritas all summer long. Literally zero complaints.
Honestly, it's the vanilla that gets you. It completely tricks your palate. It's so soft and luxurious, and then the tequila just like sneaks up and completely humbles you.
Humbles you so fast.
It is the perfect liquid companion for the absolute mess we are about to untangle tonight.
Yeah.
Because we need to talk about this show. We have fully, unapologetically fallen in love with it.
Obsessed. I am unwell over it.
And low-key, watching these characters navigate this nightmare makes us feel incredibly okay with being mediocre.
Wait, say more about that because I feel so seen.
I mean, let's be brutally honest for a second. We would not survive in their universe, not even for a fraction of a day.
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I would be on the wall on day 1, hour 1, the very second an aunt yelled at me to like scrub a floor or lower my eyes, I would immediately start crying. I would hyperventilate. I would start bargaining.
You would fold instantly.
Instantly. I cannot handle strict rules. I cannot handle the lack of a proper skincare routine, which, okay, sounds shallow, but it's actually about the total stripping of personal autonomy. I would just perish. It would be an immediate, absolute wrap for me.
Babe, you wouldn't even make it to the floor scrubbing phase.
Wow, okay, drag me.
I am. You would gasp out loud at something mildly offensive, make a facial expression that gives away every single thought in your head, and it would be over. Let's be real. Our complete and utter inability to just be quiet, sit still, and not gossip would be our immediate downfall.
Okay, that is fair.
If I saw someone trip another girl at a tea party, I would look directly at the nearest non-existent camera and make a Jim Halpert face.
Yeah.
You can't do that there. They do not appreciate irony.
No, I would whisper something shady to you in the back of the sewing room. You would snort laugh, and we'd both be sent to the colonies to shovel radioactive dirt. Done.
Exactly. Which is exactly why we get to sit here in our comfortable sweatpants, sipping premium cocktails, and safely judge everyone else from our couches.
Yes, and speaking of judging...
Oh, yes. The submissions.
Babes, we have been getting flooded with submissions from the Snark Squad. Shady, snarky, and honestly, borderline illegal takes, and we need to share them before we even get into the recap.
The inbox has been an absolute disaster zone of all caps rage and very questionable moral stances this week.
Totally unhinged. Read the first one.
Okay, let's get into the first confession. This babe wrote, quote, I was screaming at my TV because Daisy is too damn loud. She's literally asking to be caught.
Okay, wait. I need to defend Daisy here. I know she's messy, but look at the psychology of her situation.
Here we go with the feelings.
Listen, she is a teenager who is violently ripped from her normal life in Toronto, thrust into a literal terror state, and told that the entire fate of a massive underground rebellion rests on her very inexperienced shoulders. Of course she's loud. Of course she's panicking.
But she's a spy.
Her frontal lobe isn't even fully developed yet, and she's being asked to play James Bond in a society where reading a street sign gets your finger cut off. Have a little empathy.
Empathy does not keep you alive behind enemy lines, babe. I am looking at this analytically, and I have to agree with the
You
listener.
are so cold.
I am pragmatic. It is tactically stupid. Daisy is walking through the Mackenzie house, a place where the walls literally have ears, where Marthas are constantly reporting on wives, and she is whisper yelling about Mayday and extraction protocols in the hallway.
Well, yeah, that part was stressful.
It's absurd. The only reason she is still breathing is pure, unadulterated plot armor. If she doesn't learn the mechanics of a surveillance state, she is going to get everyone around her killed.
Ugh, fine. Her tactical awareness is garbage, I will concede that. But I still feel bad for her.
Fair enough. Let's look at the second confession, because this one actually made my stomach turn, and I need to know your take.
Oh, no, read it.
Okay, listen to this. Quote, I actually thought Commander Mackenzie was giving off decent vibes when he gave her the chocolate, and now I feel guilty.
Oh, my God.
Right. Okay, so is that shady, snarky, or just a fascinating psychological trap?
It is appalling. I am appalled. How are we, as a society, falling for the absolute bare minimum of human decency?
Because the bar is in hell.
It is in the Earth's core. The man is a high-ranking commander in a regime that systematically enslaves and brutalizes women, but he hands over one tiny piece of wrapped candy and suddenly he's giving decent vibes. Absolutely not. Throw the whole man away.
I mean, you're not wrong, but...
It's giving, like, he helped wash the dishes once, so he's a feminist. No.
Okay, but look at how the show manipulates us into feeling that way. It's actually brilliant television making us experience the exact same conditioning as the citizens.
Wait, what do you mean?
They surround you with absolute monsters, like Dr. Grove, who we will absolutely get to, or terrifying zealots like Aunt Vidala. The baseline of this world is so horrific, so devoid of basic human warmth, that when Mackenzie acts like a normal, chill dad for exactly 35 seconds, your brain's survival instinct kicks in.
Oh, wow. That is dark.
Right, your brain goes, oh, thank God, a safe space, a pocket of oxygen. It tricks us into trusting the bare minimum because we are desperate for relief. It's a classic authoritarian mechanism, starve the population of humanity so that a crumb feels like a feast.
Okay, that is a terrifying explanation, and it makes me hate him even more because he knows exactly what he's doing.
Exactly. It's fully intentional.
Ugh, I hate it. Okay, this last confession. This one caused a full-blown moral crisis in my own brain. You ready?
Hit me.
Quote, when evil stepmom Paula tripped Miriam, I yelled, bitch, out loud. But honestly, it was a top-tier reality TV villain move.
Oh, without a doubt. I completely respect the gameplay.
No, I am horrified. I am physically repulsed by the absolute lack of morals. Paul didn't just spill a drink, she doomed that poor girl.
She was securing her own asset.
Miriam spilled tea during marriage season, which means her score plummets, she doesn't get a commander, and she's basically going to be sent to a radioactive wasteland to die. And we're sitting here calling it a top-tier villain move like she's on a Bravo reunion.
Abe, take a sip of your margarita and look at the board.
I am taking a sip, but I am still mad.
Paula is playing chess in a closed ecosystem, while Miriam is playing checkers.
Yes.
Is it straight up evil? Yes. But is it justifiable survival in the context of their world? Also yes.
Justifiable.
Yes. Paula is not a majestic lion hunting on the savannah. She is a closed ecosystem predator. She isn't expanding her territory. She's just eliminating the competition for the few remaining scraps of oxygen.
You are terrifying when you strip the humanity out of it like that. I can't even look at you right now.
Her status, her comfort, her literal life depends entirely on Agnes securing a powerful husband. Miriam was competition for those resources. Paula eliminated the competition with the subtle flick of a rug. It was cutthroat, it was strategic, and in a world where women are pitted against each other by design, it was inevitable.
I hate that you're making sense. It was malicious. But I guess it perfectly sets up the energy for this recap because we really need to dive into this pastel nightmare.
I am slightly tipsy, highly judgmental, and I am ready. Let's set the scene for episode 4.
The aesthetics alone this week were a masterclass in psychological whiplash.
It was gorgeous, and that is exactly what makes it so deeply sickening.
Right. I was looking at the screen, and everything was pristine. The perfectly mown lawns, the symmetry of the streets, the golden hour lighting, the soft, beautiful seafoam green of the plum girls' dresses. It's breathtaking.
But then your stomach drops.
Yes, it looks like a high-end editorial shoot, but it makes you nauseous because you know the sheer amount of blood and subjugation required to keep those lawns mowed and those dresses pressed.
It's like the ultimate luxury Instagram feed, right? You see this beautiful, curated grid. The aesthetic is cottagecore perfection, soft girl era. But then you zoom in on the background of the photo, and there are literal corpses hanging from the rafters.
Oh my God,
The
yes.
juxtaposition is the entire point. Totalitarian regimes always obsess over aesthetic purity because aesthetic purity is a proxy for moral purity. If the streets are clean, the regime is good. They use beauty as a weapon to mask brutality.
Exactly. And we see that exact contrast smack Daisy right in the face. Like she is walking with Agnes, surrounded by this pristine beauty, and then they just pass the wall. The Mayday rebels are just hanging there.
It's so jarring.
And Agnes, sweet, deeply brainwashed, Agnes looks at them and says, "Don't worry, the eyes will always find them." She says it so casually, like they're talking about the weather. It's just a fact of her reality.
Which is the ultimate victory of their conditioning.
Yeah.
The violence is so normalized, it has literally become background noise.
My heart just broke for Daisy in that moment. She realizes that if she makes one wrong move, she's up there. And yet, she continues to act with sheer, unadulterated recklessness.
Which brings us back to her terrible spy skills.
I mean, she is deep behind enemy lines, and she is giving Major June vibes, like doing whatever she wants, acting completely on emotion, and surviving purely by the grace of the plot.
Let's talk about Candace the florist, because this sequence illustrates exactly why Daisy's emotional baseline is so dangerous.
Poor Candace.
Candace is a Mayday operative. She realizes the eyes are closing in because the government is retaliating for the bus attack. She panics. She approaches Daisy in public, begging for an extraction.
My heart was in my throat. She is terrified. Her whole life is crumbling in an instant.
And her panic is exactly what seals her fate.
But how do you not panic when the secret police are coming to drag you to a literal execution wall? You can't just turn off your human fight-or-flight response.
In a terror state, panicking is a luxury you literally cannot afford. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve empathy. I'm explaining the clinical anatomy of survival in a panopticon.
Okay, fine. Break it down.
When the eyes went to Candace's shop, Candace made a run for it. The second you run, you show guilt. Running is a confession. It was a telltale sign she was a spy, and they gunned her down right in the middle of the street.
It was so brutal, the sound of it, and Daisy sees the aftermath. She sees the shop swarming with guards.
And Daisy learns the hardest, coldest lesson imaginable. If you crack, you die.
Right.
You have to swallow your fear, freeze your face, and project complete compliance.
And what does Daisy do with this harsh, brutal reminder? Does she lay low? Does she blend in? No.
Yeah.
She decides to go full Nancy Drew and sneak into Commander Mackenzie's office.
During a massive party,
Yes.
it is an unbelievable risk. The hubris is staggering. But again, let's look at the mechanics of her situation. Garth told her Mayday wouldn't pull her out until she got valuable intel. She is trapped. She knows she's in the house of a major geopolitical player. The pressure is on, so she slips in.
And she gets caught. I gasped. I literally gasped out loud and spilled my drink. The camera slowly pans, and Mackenzie is just sitting there in the corner in the shadows, completely still.
A literal jump scare.
I thought, well, it's a wrap. The show is over. Daisy is going to the wall, but she pivots. She spins this incredibly bold lie about how she hasn't had chocolate since she arrived, and he just, believes her.
He doesn't just believe her, he indulges her. And this goes back to our earlier debate about him giving decent vibes. He enjoys the power dynamic.
Oh, man.
Right. He enjoys being the benevolent patriarch who can grant a small, forbidden wish to a frightened girl. It strokes his ego. He gives her a piece of individually wrapped chocolate. But the irony is, Daisy's reckless, messy behavior actually pays off. She didn't just escape the room, she scored a massive geopolitical clue.
Yes. Okay, so when she gives the chocolate wrapper to Garth later, he immediately notes that there's Japanese writing on it, which is huge.
That's it.
Because Japan has strict sanctions against this regime. They do not trade with them. So what is Commander Mackenzie doing with Japanese black market luxury goods sitting in a candy dish on his desk? The tea is piping hot.
We are definitely going to spiral on the implications of that in our theory segment, but we really need to talk about the main event of the episode. The true psychological warfare, the tea party.
The dystopian sorority rush. That is exactly what this was, but with life or death stakes.
Let's set the scene at the Mackenzie house. It is marriage season. The aunts are there to observe and judge the plum girls. This isn't just a party, it is a testing ground.
It's a job interview for your life.
Exactly. It is an intricate, choreographed performance to see who has the grace, the submissiveness, and the sheer nerve to pour tea perfectly under immense pressure. The grading rubric is simple. If you score well, you secure a high-ranking commander, which means physical safety and resources. If you fail,
If you fail, you get matched with a low-ranking guardian, or worse, you get sent to the colonies. It is a death sentence wrapped in a doily.
A death sentence wrapped in a doily. Put that on a shirt.
I'm copywriting it right now. But seriously, the tension in that room was suffocating. It was dead silent. Every micro-movement, every glance, the angle of the teapot, it was all being scrutinized. And the power dynamics at the top of the room. We have to talk about Aunt Lydia and Aunt Vidala.
The contrast between the two of them is a fascinating study in authoritarian management styles. Vidala is a true believer of the absolute worst kind. She hates the Pearl program. She wants to preach constantly. She wants to enforce the strictest, most archaic interpretations of their rules. She views any form of comfort as a sin.
She is so annoying, she won't stop speechifying. She is that person at work who CCs the boss on every minor infraction just to look good.
The ultimate middle management terror.
Yes. And then you have Aunt Lydia, who we know is a complex, terrifying monster in her own right, but she is sitting there literally rolling her eyes internally. When Lydia just shuts Vidala down and says, "Let them eat cake, Vidala," I screamed. It was iconic.
It's the profound warmth and exhaustion the actress brings to the role. It's deeply unsettling because Lydia is the architect of so much generational suffering, but in that specific moment, she is the only buffer between the girls and Vidala's unchecked fanaticism.
It's so confusing to watch.
Lydia understands that if you push a population too hard without any release valve, they break or they rebel. She wants them to have a tiny, fleeting moment of sweetness, because a broken asset is useless to her. It's not necessarily kindness, it's resource management.
That makes it even darker. But the real villain of the Tea Party isn't an aunt. It's evil stepmom Paula. I am still not over it.
The rug pull.
Literally.
We are watching the girls pour the tea. The silence is deafening. And Paula, intentionally, with zero hesitation, lifts the edge of her heavy rug with her foot right as Miriam walks by.
It was so subtle. If you blinked, you missed the physical movement, but the fallout was explosive. Miriam trips. The tea spills. The sound of that china hitting the floor sounded like a gunshot in that quiet room. I physically flinched. I spilled my own drink a little bit. Think about the sheer anxiety of spilling a drink at a regular party in the real world. You feel embarrassed, your face gets hot, you apologize, someone brings a towel.
Right, a normal social faux pas.
Now multiply that anxiety by the threat of dystopian labor camps. Miriam is on the floor sobbing. She is completely inconsolable because she knows her life is effectively over. Her score just tanked to 0. And the most horrifying part, nobody helps her.
Because to help her is to align yourself with a failure. The system has trained them that empathy is dangerous.
It's sick. Miriam was collateral damage in Paula's ruthless quest to elevate Agnes. Which brings us to Agnes, who is completely oblivious to the cutthroat game being played right under her nose because she is wrapped up in the most messy, tragic teen drama imaginable.
The love triangle. Or, more accurately, the heartbreak triangle.
Babes, seeing Agnes and Becca practicing their dancing in the bedroom before the party. It was so tender and so heartbreaking.
Because the lesbian subtext was not subtext, it was just text. Becca is clearly deeply in love with Agnes.
Oh, 100%.
You can see it in the way she looks at her, the reverence in how she holds her. To Becca, that dance wasn't practice for a future commander. It was a stolen moment. It was the only fragment of intimacy she is ever going to get with the person she loves.
It completely breaks me because they are living in a world where experiencing that kind of love, where simply being who Becca is punishable by death. She has to completely suppress her identity to survive. She is living in a state of constant internal suffocation.
It's devastating.
And to make it infinitely worse, Agnes is totally clueless. Agnes is hopelessly crushing on Garth.
Right, the Mayday operative posing as a guardian, which Daisy, with her absolute lack of a filter, calls out.
Oh my God, Daisy.
Daisy sees the dynamic, corners Garth, and literally says, "Nice work letting that happen. It's so chaotic. You have a terror state, people hanging in the streets, secret police swarming, and in the middle of this geopolitical powder keg, a 15-year-old girl is pining over the undercover rebel."
It's so human, though. Even in hell, teenagers are going to have crushes. It's a biological imperative to seek connection. But the sweetness of those crushes gets ripped away so fast here. Because after the pea pouring disaster, they bring out the commander's cake.
It's a tradition functioning similarly to, like, the European galette gras. There is a hidden treasure baked inside the cake. Whoever gets the slice with the porcelain bride is meant to be the first one to marry in that season. It's superstition dressed up as divine providence.
And of course, Agnes gets it. She takes a bite, crunches down on the porcelain bride, and she chips her tooth.
Which is the catalyst for the darkest, most insidious, and frankly, most difficult part of this entire conversation today.
I don't even want to talk about it, but we have to because it is the crux of everything. Paula is furious because Agnes is damaged right before marriage season. She is a commodity with a dent in it. So Paula sends her to the dentist immediately. And the dentist is Dr. Grove.
Becca's father.
He is a known creep. We saw it in episode 2. The way he touched Agnes under the guise of a physical exam, the way he lingered, the way he talked about her body. I had a physical pit in my stomach the second they said the word dentist.
The isolation of it is what makes it so terrifying. Look at the mechanisms of control in this society. These girls are constantly chaperoned. They are never alone. They have Marthas, they have aunts, they have their mothers. They are in a constant panopticon.
Exactly. They're always being watched.
But in the medical setting, the authority of the male doctor supersedes the chaperones. The institutional rules actually create a blind spot for the abuser. The door closes. Daisy is left in the waiting room, completely clueless, bickering with Garth about Japanese chocolate, while the real horror happens 10 feet away.
And Dr. Grove puts Agnes under a mild sedative. Why? For a chipped tooth. It was so medically unnecessary, and Agnes knew it. You could see the sheer, primal fear in her eyes before she went under.
That was visceral.
She's staring up at him, trapped in the chair, and he's slowly taking off his coat. My skin was crawling. I was yelling at the screen.
And then the show does something incredibly powerful from a directorial standpoint. It doesn't show us the assault. It refuses to turn her trauma into a spectacle. It cuts.
Thank God for that, honestly.
And when Agnes wakes up, she is still in the chair, and Dr. Grove is across the room, casually washing his hands at the faucet. He turns around, smiles, wishes her luck at the ball, and leaves her there. The implication hangs in the air like a suffocating fog. The absence of violence on screen makes the psychological impact so much heavier.
It is psychological torture for the viewer, but it is absolute devastation for Agnes because she goes home. It's nighttime. She is alone in her room getting ready for bed. She's taking off all those heavy, restrictive layers of clothing, and she gets down to her undershirt.
And she looks in the mirror.
The laces on her undershirt are undone. They are sloppily, hastily tied. Someone had untied them while she was unconscious. I felt viscerally sick. I was actually crying.
It's a gut punch.
The camera holds on Agnes's face, and you watch the realization wash over her. The absolute betrayal. This wasn't a stranger in an alley. This was her best friend's father, a trusted pillar of their community, a man who enforces the rules.
This is where the core theme of the episode crystallizes. This is the rot beneath the floorboards.
Yeah.
In the early days of the regime, the abuse was state-sanctioned, out in the open, institutionalized. It was the law. But this is insidious.
It's completely hidden.
Right. This abuse happens in the shadows to maintain the perfect illusion of their pious society. Agnes realizes in that horrific moment that the rigid rules do not exist to protect her. They exist to render her defenseless. The men who write and enforce the rules are the ones breaking them to prey on the vulnerable, knowing the system will demand the victim's silence. It confirms her absolute worst fear. She is not safe. She has never been safe.
It shattered her entire worldview, and the episode doesn't even give us a single moment to breathe or process that trauma because it cuts immediately right to Daisy.
The ending cliffhanger, a masterclass in escalating tension.
Daisy is hiding in her bathroom, desperate for a lifeline. She turns on her hidden radio, trying to catch the radio-free Boston broadcast. She needs to hear that there is still a world out there fighting for her.
And she hears a brief, frantic warning. A man's voice, panicked. And then just a high-pitched ring. The signal is gone. Dead air.
Claustrophobia. She breaks down, she shoves a towel into her mouth and just screams into it to muffle the sound so the Marthas don't hear her. Pure, unadulterated panic and total isolation.
It's unbearable to watch.
The walls are closing in on Agnes in her bedroom. The walls are closing in on Daisy in the bathroom. The entire pastel facade is cracking, and then the screen goes to black. I needed a second margarita immediately. I was unwell.
It was a perfectly executed spiral of anxiety, trapping both of our protagonists in different forms of suffocating silence, which brings us smoothly into our first official analytical segment of the night.
Okay, let's do this. I need to yell.
We need to unpack the motivations driving this nightmare. Segment 1. Morals or survival?
Oh, I have thoughts. I have entire essays of thoughts.
I know you do. The core question we need to answer is this. Are the women in this episode, specifically the wives and the aunts, acting out of a genuine, deeply held belief in this twisted religion, Or are they just playing a cutthroat, highly strategic game of survival?
Let's start with Paula, because I am coming in hot.
I'm bracing myself.
Paula is a monster. I do not care about your closed ecosystem predator survival strategy. When she tripped Miriam, that was pure malice. But it wasn't just the trip at the tea party.
What else?
When Agnes comes home later, Paula is ranting and she brings up June. She tells Agnes to her face that she has weak genes because Tabitha wasn't her real mother and her birth mother was the weak one who led a rebellion. It was so unnecessarily cruel. Paula genuinely enjoys inflicting emotional pain to assert dominance. She is a true believer in her own superiority. She thrives on the cruelty.
I have to push back on this, hard.
Of course you do.
You are projecting a moral framework onto Paula that simply does not exist in her environment. You are looking at her through the lens of a free society where empathy is a virtue. In her world, empathy is a fatal flaw. Morality gets you hung on a wall.
But she doesn't have to be so mean.
Paula is married to a high-ranking commander. Her entire existence, her access to food, her shelter, her social status, relies entirely on Agnes securing a powerful husband. If Agnes fails, Paula's stock drops. She becomes vulnerable.
So she has to completely destroy a teenager's life to secure her bag. Are we really defending that?
I am not defending it morally, I am explaining it sociologically.
Yeah.
Eliminating the competition is just playing the board. Miriam was a threat to Agnes's placement. Paula neutralized the threat. Is it cold? Absolutely. But I do not think Paula prays to their god in secret. I think Paula prays to the god of self-preservation. She is adapting to the extreme ecosystem she lives in. A shark isn't evil for eating a seal. It's just surviving based on its biological imperatives. Paula is doing the exact same thing.
Do not compare Paula to a majestic shark. She is a bottom feeder. A shark acts on instinct. Paula acts on calculated malice.
We'll have to disagree on her aquatic equivalent.
But fine, if we are going to use your clinical logic, let's apply it to Aunt Lydia. Is Lydia a true believer, or is she playing a long game? Because shutting down Aunt Fidela with Let 'em Meat Cake felt deeply personal and pragmatic.
Aunt Lydia is the ultimate enigma of this entire universe. Vidala is the true believer. Vidala wants everyone miserable because she equates misery with spiritual purity. I think Lydia has evolved entirely past the religious dogma.
Wait, really? You think she doesn't believe it anymore?
I don't. Lydia uses the religion as a tool to maintain order. But in that moment at the tea party, she protected the girls from Vidala's extremes. I think Lydia is playing a game of chess so long and so complex we can't even see the edges of the board yet. She wants survival, yes, but she wants survival on her terms, not Vidala's. She is managing her assets.
It's chilling because it makes her both a savior and a warden simultaneously. Okay, let's pivot to segment 2. Main character energy check.
My absolute favorite segment. In a society that demands conformity, who is commanding the room and who is actively trying to fade into the background?
We have to call out Paula again. I hate her. I want her to trip on her own rug, but she has absolute, undeniable villain main character energy. She controls the entire room without lifting a finger. She dictates the pace of the event. She ruined a girl's life with a subtle twitch of her foot.
And Aunt Lydia commands the room without even trying. The wives defer to her. The girls are terrified of her. She has that quiet, heavy, gravitational presence that just sucks the air out of the room the second she walks in.
But then we have Daisy. Daisy has loud, reckless, screaming main character energy, and I honestly want to debate this with you because I know you hate it. Is her main character energy actually a flaw?
Yes. Next question.
No, listen. Because, yes, she's loud, she's messy, she sneaks into offices, but she is the only one actively trying to do something to break the system.
Having main character energy in a totalitarian dystopia is not a cute personality trait, babe. It is a massive, fatal character flaw. It is going to get the supporting cast killed.
But she's getting results.
Daisy acts like she's the protagonist in a YA dystopian novel where the brave, plucky heroine defies the odds and brings down the government with a bow and arrow. She doesn't realize she is in a tragedy. Her loudness, her snooping, her complete inability to mask her emotions, that energy is a massive liability to every single Mayday operative around her. Candace the florist had side character energy, panicked once, and was instantly executed. Daisy has plot armor right now, but her main character energy is actively dangerous.
I hate that you are logically right, even though emotionally I want her to burn it all down. She needs to shrink a little bit if she wants to live. Which brings us to the people who are actively fading into the background. Poor Miriam.
The ultimate NPC.
She literally spilled tea, and her life is over. She is the definition of a disposable NPC in Paula's video game.
And Becca. We need to talk about Becca's energy. Her quiet heartbreak over Agnes is one layer of it. But the trauma at the hands of her own father. Dr. Grove has been abusing her since she was a little girl. You can see it in her posture, in her hollow eyes. She is haunted.
Which is so hard to look at.
That kind of profound, inescapable trauma forces you to shrink into yourself to survive. She is desperately trying not to be seen by the monster who lives in her own home. She wants to be invisible.
It makes me want to sob. She has no safe harbor anywhere. So I guess the ultimate question is, does having main character energy mean you're more likely to survive because you fight back, or more likely to end up on the wall because you draw attention?
Historically, in this universe, standing out puts a massive target on your back. June survived because she was relentless, but look at the sheer cost to everyone around her. Blending in, becoming part of the wallpaper, is the only mathematically safe play, which leads us perfectly into our next spiral.
Segment 3. If we lived in this world.
Take a deep sip of the margarita for this one. You need the courage.
Deep sip taken. Okay. Insert yourself into this pastel nightmare. How long would you actually last? I've already admitted my breaking point would be hour 1. But what would be your specific, exact breaking point?
I naturally analyze everything, right? So I would be hyper aware of the rules. I would know the handbook. But the sheer, crushing, daily mental load of maintaining the facade would break my brain. I would be the one who accidentally uses someone's real name out of habit.
Oh my God, exactly like Agnes did at the party.
Exactly. A Snark Squad babe pointed this out in the threads, and it's brilliant. Agnes slipped up and called her Martha Rosa instead of just calling her Martha. In their rules, using a Martha's real name is a massive taboo. It acknowledges their humanity, which the state forbids.
It's such a tiny mistake, but so dangerous.
That tiny, instinctual slip of the tongue. That is how I would go down. I'd be at the grocery store, I'd grab a loaf of bread and say, "Thanks, Sarah, have a good weekend," and the eyes would immediately bag my head.
I wouldn't even make it to the grocery store to misname anyone. My breaking point would be the physical environment. I am sorry, but the heavy wool dresses, the capes, the restrictive undergarments, the lack of breathable fabrics in the human summer.
You'd complain instantly.
I would complain about the chafing out loud, and an ant would tase me. Also, the complete and total lack of a nighttime skincare routine. You're telling me I can't use my hyaluronic acid, I can't slug my face, the state owns my pores.
Your vanity would literally be your downfall. You would get sent to the colonies for trying to make a face mask out of rationed oatmeal.
And I would die with glowing skin. But seriously, if we strip away the jokes, let's talk about the paranoia. Imagine living in a world where you go to a dentist to fix a minor chipped tooth, and you have to meticulously check your undershirt when you get home to see if you were sexually assaulted while you were sedated.
A sheer exhaustion of never, ever being safe. That is the true horror. Not in your home, not at a party, not at a doctor's office. Your body is state property, and the men enforcing the laws view you as completely, totally disposable.
I literally cannot imagine the mental fortitude required to wake up every day knowing that.
I wouldn't survive the mental gymnastics required to convince myself that everything is fine. You either go completely mad, you disassociate entirely like Becca, or you rebel. There's no middle ground.
Which is exactly why we need to talk about where this plot is heading. Segment 4, Snark Squad Theories.
We have some wild, highly analytical, and slightly unhinged speculation from the squad, and I am entirely here for it. Let's start with Theory 1. What actually happened to Radio Free Boston?
Right. Daisy is listening, the guy is frantically talking, and then high-pitched squeal. Dead air. One of our babes messaged us asking a brilliant question. Was the signal just temporarily jammed by their tech division, or is Boston physically under siege?
A physical siege makes an incredible amount of strategic sense. We know they are rapidly retaliating for the bus attack. Garth said it himself. What if the retaliation isn't just internal purges? What if they launched a massive, coordinated military strike on Boston to permanently wipe out Mayday's communication hub?
That would be devastating. If Boston falls, Mayday is crippled, and Daisy is completely, utterly alone. She has no extraction point. But wait, I kind of lean towards the jamming theory.
Why?
What if the eyes finally figured out the exact frequency? What if they are tracing the listeners right now? What if they know exactly what bathroom Daisy is sitting in and they are marching up the stairs?
That is a terrifying thought. If they jammed it, they are actively closing the net. It turns the radio from a lifeline into a tracking beacon. Okay, Theory 2. The Japanese chocolate. I brought this up earlier because I am obsessed with the geopolitical implications. What is the deal with Commander Mackenzie?
I still stand by my initial reaction. He is just a massive, arrogant hypocrite. The entire ruling class is deeply hypocritical. They preach austerity, starvation, and purity for the masses, but behind closed doors, they want their luxury goods.
You think it's just about the chocolate?
Yes. He probably just uses his immense power to smuggle in Japanese chocolate because he has a sweet tooth and believes he is above the law. It doesn't mean he's a secret good guy or a spy.
I disagree. I think it's much deeper than a sweet tooth. Why specifically Japanese writing on the wrapper? The writers didn't just throw that in for fun. Garth explicitly stated that Japan has strict sanctions against them. They do zero trade. I theorize Commander Mackenzie is a secret turncoat, doing high-level black market trades, maybe even funding a separate faction within the commanders.
You are reaching, babes.
You do not just casually have highly illegal embargoed goods sitting in a candy dish on your desk unless you are incredibly arrogant, or you are actively communicating with the outside world and building an escape hatch.
You are giving this man way too much credit. He is an arrogant man who thinks the rules do not apply to him. He's not some secret, complex resistance fighter. He's just a rich, corrupt guy who likes imported treats while people starve in the streets. Do not try to redeem him with this spy theory.
I am not redeeming his morals. I am analyzing his utility. A corrupt commander who is already breaking international embargoes is a massive vulnerability that Mayday can exploit. If he is willing to smuggle chocolate, what else is he willing to smuggle?
We are going to have to agree to disagree on his motives because my blood pressure is rising just thinking about him. Let's look at theory 3. And this is the big one, the one that could change the entire landscape of the show. Will Agnes's assault be the catalyst that finally breaks her perfect conditioning and makes her actively join Mayday?
It absolutely has to be. From a narrative structure standpoint, this is her inciting incident. Up until this exact moment, Agnes truly believed the childish story. She believed the system, while strict protected righteous obedient girls.
She thought she was safe.
Exactly. She thought if she followed the rules, she was safe. But Dr. Grove shattered that illusion permanently. A Snark Squad babe wrote in and said, quote, "I think the assault, and the fact that she knows no one will do anything about it, will lead her to realizing the systemic rot. She needs that push to wake up."
It is the most horrific, traumatic push imaginable. Because she knows she can't report him. The legal structure requires 4 female witnesses to combat the word of a commander or a high-ranking man. It is mathematically impossible to seek justice.
It's rigged by design.
And even if she did miraculously prove it, she becomes damaged goods, she becomes unmarriable. The entire legal system is meticulously designed to silence her and protect her abuser. So what does she do with that suffocating, helpless rage?
She weaponizes it. I think Daisy has been unknowingly planting the seeds for this all season. When Daisy tried to bond with Agnes earlier and said, "My birth mother died too," she was trying to bridge the gap between them. Agnes shut it down then because she was still brainwashed.
Right, she wasn't ready to hear it.
But now, Agnes is completely isolated. Her best friend is traumatized by the same man. She is traumatized. Her stepmom is a ruthless monster. Agnes has no one inside the system to trust. I think Agnes is going to turn to Daisy. And that is how the rebellion truly starts from the inside.
I have full-body chills right now. If Agnes turns, it is game over for them. The devout daughter of a high-ranking commander, utilizing all her etiquette training, all her access to restricted areas, all her knowledge of their social blind spots, to burn the house down from the inside. I want it so badly. I need her to get revenge on Dr. Grove. I need her to destroy Paula's perfect little ecosystem. I need it.
Which brings us to the end of our spiral session tonight. And before we wrap up, I want to drop one final overarching provocative thought for everyone to mull over while you finish your drinks.
Lay it on us. Give us the thesis statement.
If this society relies entirely on everyone spying on everyone to maintain order, Martha's spying on wives, spying on girls, I spying on the commanders, what happens when the people enforcing the rules, like Dr. Grove and potentially Commander Mackenzie, are the ones fundamentally breaking them in secret? At what point does the whole house of cards collapse from the inside? Because a system built on total unyielding hypocrisy cannot sustain its own weight forever. The rot always spreads.
Babes, I am speechless. That is exactly it. The rot is spreading, it is reaching the highest levels, and we're going to be sitting right here with our margaritas watching it fall apart.
We truly are. Thank you to the incredible Snark Squad babes for hanging out, sending in your unhinged thoughts, and spiraling with us tonight. You guys make this shared trauma so much fun to unpack.
Yes, please remember to share the show with a friend who loves the chaos and the psychological breakdowns as much as we do, and drop a 5-star rate and review. It helps us so much to keep doing this. And keep sending in those messy, highly debatable submissions, because clearly we are thriving on them. We live for the drama and the discourse.
We really do. Babes, we started this evening talking about strawberry vanilla margaritas and somehow ended up deeply questioning our basic survival skills in a totalitarian state and judging your moral confessions. Balance. Absolute perfect balance. Love you guys.
Stay empowered.
Stay regal. I will see you on the Snark side.